Hey guys, in our previous discussions, we set the foundation for how to develop a healthy relationship and boundaries with food. So, in this final portion, we are going to look at a dozen ways that we can feel empowered in controlling our behaviors around food, given this previous knowledge and awareness that we have. So, let's start working through this journey. First of all, number one is going to be able to focus on eating food for fuel and nutrients and not just for indulgence or from desire, okay? So we want to eat for the right reasons. Now, that said, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't enjoy our food or occasionally indulge, all right? But my belief is that we can have healthy food that is very flavorful, tastes great, and we can enjoy it, all right? We can have both of those in one package. And we also, though, want to remember that ultimately, though, we're consuming food for fuel and energy. If we start to eat food as a way to fulfill a desire, that can become a dangerous territory that we want to watch out and be aware of, okay? Number two is going to be prepare or take smaller portions, all right? And the reason this is important is you don't want to serve yourself a large portion or multiple servings onto the plate and then get to the table or wherever it is that you're eating and have to then tell yourself, well, I have 3 servings of this, but I need to instinctively stop after I've consumed 1, okay? Make that decision when you're ordering food, when you're cooking it, when you're taking it out of the pan, in those earlier stages, all right? Don't allow yourself to get to that moment where you're having to stop a fork from entering your mouth again and say, oh, my body's telling me this is enough, all right? We want to set ourselves up for success. So make those decisions up front. Prepare smaller amounts, serve smaller amounts. Don't leave it up to eating fewer bites. All right. So number 3 then is going to play off of that, which is allow yourself to leave food on your plate. All right. So this goes against the societal norm, which I have discussed previously, but that's okay. And you want to be able to leave food on your plate or save it for later or even possibly throw it away without feeling guilty, okay? And if you're having to throw it away, then maybe that's a sign next time you know to prepare a little bit less and you can just plan in advance. But we don't want to carry guilt for not being able to stomach an entire plate of food that our body doesn't need, okay? We don't want to force our body to consume that just to avert any guilt or shame related to that. So allow yourself to leave food or keep it for later for leftovers, okay, without guilt. Number 4 is do not compare your plate or your serving size to other people, all right? Especially in a social setting or even if it's with your family. All right, so again, we need to listen to our bodies and we don't need to look around the room or the restaurant or wherever this is and say, okay, those people are taking that much, so I can push my luck a little bit and pile my plate high, or the reverse. Maybe you're very hungry. Maybe your body needs those nutrients and that fuel right then, and everyone else is feeling self-conscious, or they're just not hungry and they're taking small amounts, and you think, well, I don't want to look bad, so I'm going to deprive myself. Again, listen to your body. I'm going to say that over and over. Don't compare your portion sizes to other people, and also work on trying to not be intimidated to eat around other people unless it's a point where you feel like, you do have struggle with relationship with food, then maybe address that in a more private setting, all right? So number 5 then is going to be eat mindfully, consciously chewing and tasting your food, all right? Mindful eating, something that we really struggle with, all right? We are typically mindless eaters as a society. We eat for a variety of reasons. We don't pay attention to when we're eating. We don't taste our food. We don't truly appreciate it, okay? Eating should be a very intimate, sacred experience. And I think at one time it was, and we've lost that through generations, all right? So you want to be able to chew your food enough that it helps the digestive process. That starts in the mouth, okay? By breaking that food down, that's going to simplify the process for your body to distribute the nutrients you need and figure out where it needs to go and pass that through, all right? So then number 6 is going to be engage your senses in eating. So this is similar to the last one, okay? Being a conscious, mindful eater. And you can achieve that by engaging all of your senses, all right? So, and that actually starts before food even enters your mouth, okay? That can start at the store, noticing the colors of the foods that you're choosing, that you're eating from across the rainbow, or the aromas maybe even in the grocery store from fresh foods, to getting home when you're cooking and preparing, smelling all of those different flavors, surging together and coming together to make this great creation, and adding spices and seasonings, and just smell those aromas as you cook that food and notice all those colors merge together. And it can be a really amazing process. And then to the moment you taste that food, and so you've already seen it, in this, from the moment you spot it in the store to then the smell from cooking it. Now you're tasting the food, and you're also realizing the textures of it. Okay, there's so many different elements to this that you want to incorporate. Maybe even when you're cooking it, you stop and you listen to the sizzle of the skillet or other sounds that are taking place as you prepare your food. Really fully engage your senses in the process from the moment of picking your food at the store till you have consumed it. All right, and that will make eating for you much more sacred and some experience that you will then start to be a lot more mindful and aware of. Okay, number 7 is going to be pay attention to feedback from your body. Okay, so we're going to take this a step further. All right, we're not just listening to our bodies to tell us when they're full, but this is also when you want to listen to your body as it relates to, okay, I just ate a certain type of food, maybe whether that be dairy or something that might have gluten, processed sugars. Maybe it's something that's not, maybe it's just raw vegetables. What type of feedback am I getting? Does my digestive system seem to be having trouble? Did I get a little bit of jitters? Was there a headache involved? Did I have some trouble sleeping after that? Was anything unusual that I noticed from patterns that are possibly a result of that food that I consume? You don't necessarily have to write it all down, but you want to take mental note of the responses that you have and try to make correlations to the food that you're consuming. That way you can discover the food that's going to be optimal for your health and try to eliminate some of those that might be disruptive. Okay, so then number 8 is going to be able to celebrate your accomplishments. All right, so a lot of people will think they've only achieved their health goals or have only been successful with food if they've lost a certain amount of weight or this has been accomplished over a long period of time. All right, so we want to break away from that thought process. I want to point out as small as the fact that if you feel tempted by a treat or something that you feel like doesn't serve you, if you can turn around and walk away or pick an alternative, that's a victory. And that should be celebrated, at least in that moment, okay? You should feel a little bit better, have a little bit increased confidence from the fact that, hey, I was triumphant over food in that moment. That's another notch that you can be excited about. That's going to lead you in the right direction with your self-esteem and your healthy relationship with food. Okay, so look for those little micro accomplishments when it comes to food and with anything in life. But honestly, like if that means that you're tempted to eat past your fasting window, you successfully step away, maybe you go to bed instead so you can just eat in the morning, great. Victory, that's success, celebrate it. Or choosing the healthier option say you end up at a buffet, very dangerous place to be, but if you choose the healthier option over things that are tempting you the other way, again, celebrate. We have to acknowledge our little victories throughout the journey to lead us on to that ultimate victory and be triumphant over food. Okay, I want to go back real quick to 7, listening to the body. Okay, we want to try to not eat until we're actually full, but our body is going to tell us when we're it's satiated, which means about that 80% mark. Okay. There's a term through the Okinawans who have the longest living centenarians, which is like Hari Hachibu, which means eating to that 80% satiety rule, not to the point you feel like you need to loosen a belt loop because your stomach's going to burst. All right, we don't want to eat to the point of discomfort. We want to fulfill the need for hunger, but no more than that. All right. Number 9 is going to be speak of your journey, share it, and even of your setbacks, okay? Be open and vulnerable and transparent and vulnerable about it. Maybe not too much, but find that balance, okay? Because this can be important for a number of reasons. You can inspire and encourage other people. You can also get the support you need, especially if you're struggling, but it may also be helpful if you're doing well. Other people are going to encourage you along in that process, all right? So you want to be able to put yourself in a position to have a support system that's going to guide you along. It's going to be very difficult to achieve your goals with food just on your own. And I know there's a lot of great organizations out there because I have been part of speaking at those and their events, and they're a huge moral support for one another. So that's something you might want to look into tapping to as well if you feel like you have trouble with your relationship with food, okay? And then the final tip, number 10 on there for controlling our behaviors around food, is going to be to journal and document the successes and really keep track over the long term, okay? So we also want to do this in a certain way, which is not short term, all right? We want to think of it as long term. Again, I discussed this, but we don't want to use terms like diet or anything that's like a fad or short-term results, or just want to lose this much weight by this time for my vacation, because that indicates that there is a milestone, but you're going to surpass that at a certain point. Then what happens? Then you can fall back into old habits, okay? So you want to document that progress, but you also want to speak openly about that in a long-term thing. So instead say lifestyle, okay? This is my new lifestyle. These are my lifestyle choices. These are the lifestyle behaviors I choose to have that serve me and my health, that bring value to my life, okay? So be careful how you speak and write and document on social media about that, the language that you use, okay? That's number 9 and 10 there merged together. So document and share, but be careful about the language you use. Make sure it's long-term and sustainable so that it does serve you as best as possible. So, all right, guys, so those 10 tips to help you be empowered and have control of your behaviors as it relates to food. I hope those were helpful, packaged along with the other videos where we looked at improving self-awareness around our thought process and what drives us to feel compelled to eat, to then controlling our environmental factors to set us up for success, then leading into controlling thoughts as it relates to food and self-image, ultimately now to those behaviors, that moment when we put food on our plate and then pick up the fork and put it in our mouths, okay? But remember, it starts actually at the grocery store, even before that, by making a plan, okay? You want to put yourself in position to win. That's ultimately what it's all about, and that starts with making a plan for when you go to the store and to be empowered in that whole process all the way through. But hey guys, if you want more information, I'm always putting a new information out there on social media. On Facebook, it's at Forsyth Wellness, okay, at Forsyth Wellness on Facebook, and then on Instagram, feel free to follow me at Derek Forsyth. Similar information, trying to copy too much. You can see a little bit of my own personal journey, my lifestyle habits as far as working out, what I'm eating. I'm not a big recipe guy, but I will show you what I'm eating, and I get really creative in the kitchen, and I encourage you guys to do the same. Hey, eating should be fun, it should be enjoyable, it shouldn't be a rigorous process, but we do want to have control over our relationship with food because we do not want it to own us or own our health in a negative way. Thanks for watching, guys.